Okay, let's unpack this. We are diving deep into really the foundations of European art collecting. Specifically, we're looking at the mind of a single visionary who, over 400 years ago, basically defined what it meant to curate a great collection.
Exactly. He didn't just, accumulate objects. He was creating what our sources call a microcosm of beauty.
And that microcosm is the Galleria Borghese in Rome. But here's the interesting part.
The twist?
The twist, yeah. This deep dive is actually about a major event exhibit that takes the heart of that collection and moves it, transports it north to Cuneo, Italy.
Right. So our mission today is to give you an authoritative shortcut to understanding this exhibit. It's called La Galleria Borghese, da Raffaello a Bernini, Storia di una collezione.
A history of a collection.
A history of a collection. And we want to go beyond just the art on the walls and look at the history, the context, and maybe most importantly, the strategy being used to make 17th century art feel urgent and relevant today.
So it's an entire cultural history distilled into one show. Where do we even start?
Well, we have to start with the essentials. The 5 W's. Let's get the framework down first.
Right. The logistics, the where and the when. Because moving a collection like this, even parts of it, is a huge undertaking.
It really is. And the location itself is highly significant. It's being held at the Complesso Monumentale di San Francesco in Cuneo.
Which is not just any gallery space.
No, not at all. The venue is this beautifully restored former church, an ex-conventual church. It only reopened in 2011, and it's really become the main artistic hub for the city. So the setting itself adds another layer of meaning.
And if you're thinking of going, there's a good amount of time to see it.
Yes, you have a solid window. The exhibition is scheduled to run from November 22, 2025, right through March 29, 2026.
Okay, a substantial run. Now for the who. I mean, who has the power to actually move works by Raffaello and Bernini across the country?
Well, that's where you see the institutional muscle. It's a really powerful collaboration.
I'd imagine so.
The primary promoters are the Fondazione CRC and the bank Intesa Sanpaolo. And this show actually marks a new phase of their partnership, which has been bringing major art to Cuneo since 2022.
And of course, the main partner has to be the Galleria Borghese itself.
Of course. They're the major lending institution. And then the curatorial vision. The people shaping the story are Francesca Cappelletti, who is the director of the Galleria Borghese, and Ettore Giovanardi.
And their focus wasn't just on picking the greatest hits.
No, not at all. It seems their goal was to really demonstrate the collector's original purpose, his vision.
Which is the perfect segue to the why. Why this collection? Why this man? We're talking about Cardinal Scipione Borghese. Who was he? And why do his methods still matter 400 years later?
Scipione Borghese.
In 1605.
His uncle became Pope Paul V, and that family connection gave him immediate, almost unlimited political and financial power, and he used it immediately and, frankly, ruthlessly.
So he didn't just have money, he had the ultimate access. And art became a tool for him.
A tool for power, absolutely, for the political and cultural representation of the Borghese family in this very competitive 17th century Rome.
But he wasn't just a hoarder of expensive things.
No, this is the key point. Historians see him as the first great collector with, truly European ambitions. His approach was systematic, visionary, and just profoundly modern.
How so? What was so different?
Well, before Scipione, collecting was often about showing off individual treasures, a gem here, a painting there. Scipione's conceptual leap was to treat all the works as an organic whole.
An organic whole, I like that. So it's not just a vault of assets, it's more like a curated statement, a miniature world.
It absolutely was. The goal was to spark conversation, to elevate the cultural value of the entire group. He put the pieces in dialogue with each other, across time, across styles.
And his home, the Villa Vinciana, was the stage for all of this.
The perfect stage. It was conceived around 1610, specifically as a Teatro delle Meraviglie, a theater of wonders.
A theater of wonders.
And what was so pioneering is how it integrated ancient sculpture, like the famous Gladiator, with the most cutting-edge modern painting and sculpture of his day. The building and the art were one single experience.
What I find so compelling is how forward-thinking he was about the visitor experience itself.
I mean, think about this. In the early 1600s, there was an inscription at the entrance to his villa that basically said, "Go where you please, ask, look for what you love, and then leave when you wish."
That sounds like the mission statement for a modern museum.
It is. It shows this incredibly personal, innovative idea about how people should engage with art.
But we have to touch on the darker side of this ambition.
Yeah.
Because the collection came together so fast and not always cleanly.
That's the necessary nuance, isn't the journalistic angle. The sources are very clear that his collection grew through some, let's say, controversial means.
Give us the headlines on that. What was he willing to do?
Well, the most dramatic examples involve sequestration. He seized entire collections. Yes. He took pieces from the painter Giuseppe Cesari, also known as Cavaliere d'Arpino, and that haul included some crucial early Caravaggio paintings that are now icons of the Borghese collection. But the most infamous case, by far, was the theft of Raffaello's Deposizione.
The entombment.
The very one. He literally had it removed from a church in Perugia and brought to Rome.
Wow. So he was a collector who valued the artistic result above any legal or ethical lines of his day. And that's the collection we're seeing in Cuneo.
That's the legacy.
So let's move to what the artworks themselves. The exhibition frames this whole story around the massive shift from the Renaissance to the Baroque.
Yes, the whole thematic structure is about that transition. From the Italian Cinquecento, the 16th century, to the Seicento, the 17th century, the Baroque era.
Okay, for anyone
Cinquecento as classical balance, harmony, a kind of intellectual rigor. Think Raphael's perfect drawing and perspective. Order, exactly. Then when you move into the Seicento, the Baroque, that intellectual calm gives way to intense emotion, drama, movement, and this revolutionary use of light and shadow. Caravaggio, Bernini.
and Scipione's collection captures that exact moment of change.
Perfectly. And the exhibition shows this, starting with the Renaissance masters. You have an attributed Raffaello, the Ritratto di uomo, from around 1500. It's pure rigor, pure form.
This taste wasn't just limited to the Roman school.
Not at all. He had a deep appreciation for the Venetian school, which was all about color and psychological depth.
Which brings us to artists like Titian.
Exactly. You see, Tiziano's Ritratto di frate domenicano, it's a work with incredible psychological weight. It shows Scipione wasn't just after flashy names, he valued that emotional intensity. And then you have Jacopo Bassano's pair of paintings, Autunno e Primavera, which are much more earthy, more expressive.
And I see there's a Ferrarese piece in there too, which always feels a little different.
Yes, Battista Tossi's Sacra Familia. The sources mention its lyrical invention. It's a softer, more narrative style. It just goes to show how eclectic Scipione's taste really was. He just appreciated genius.
The perfect artist to represent the pivot point is Cavaliere d'Arpino, the very artist Scipione borrowed from.
You could say that. The exhibition includes his Fuga in Egitto, an oil on copper. It really documents that stylistic shift towards the new century, which is so ironic given how Scipione acquired some of his other works.
Now here is where it gets really interesting for me, the inclusion of Lavinia Fontana.
Yes. This is hugely significant.
Tell us why.
We see her painting Sono di Gesù from 1591. Fontana was a revolutionary figure. She was the first woman to get major public commissions in Rome, and she worked directly for Pope Paul V and for Scipione. Including her shows that he was committed to collecting the best contemporary.
It was about the quality of the work.
As long as they were at the cutting edge, yes.
And from that transition, we plunge right into the Baroque climax. This is the era Scipione basically helped create, mainly through his patronage of one young artist,
Gian Lorenzo Bernini.
the master.
And the exhibit highlights his insane versatility. You see his self-portrait, the Autoritratto and the Tapamatura, but it's shown alongside this remarkable early sculpture, Capra Amaltea.
The Gauda Mafia.
Yes, from 1615. It's thought to be one of his very first marble works. It just demonstrates Scipione's incredible eye for spotting raw, world-changing talent.
It connects the dots, doesn't it? Showing the collector investing in the artist right at the beginning of their career.
It absolutely does. And then you also have Guido Reni, another key Baroque figure with his Danza campestre, a much lighter landscape scene, but still so sophisticated.
And there's one more piece that speaks to Scipione's intellectual curiosity.
The Orbetto. It's a highly refined work on slate. And that little curatorial detail is so important. It shows he wasn't just chasing the biggest canvas or most famous artist. He appreciated technical novelty, mastery over unusual materials.
So we have the man, the context, the art. This brings us to the final and maybe most critical element for us today. The how. How is this exhibition in Cuneo making this historical collection feel alive and accessible right now?
The how is where the Fondazione CRC's strategy really comes into play. They call it the Laboratorio Cuneo model.
The Cuneo laboratory.
Exactly. And it's built on two principles, bellezza beauty and partecipazione participation. It's all about turning the exhibit from something you just look at into something the community is a part of.
I see they're even thinking about sustainability in the design.
That's a key detail. The exhibition design, which was custom made for the space, deliberately uses reused structures from previous shows. It's a conscious effort to reduce the environmental impact of these huge cultural events.
Which is fantastic. But the biggest barrier to art is often cost. How are they tackling that?
Head on. This is huge. The exhibition offers free and complimentary admission and activities for its entire run. The idea is to break down any economic barrier, to encourage people to come back again and again, and to make sure that culture is not dictated by your income. A pretty big contrast to Scipione's original high-stakes collecting, right?
At a huge contrast.
Yeah.
So tell us about this participation. How do you make a 17th century collection a live laboratory?
Through incredibly rich programming, they have thematic deep dives like one on symbols and archetypes and Bassano's work. But they also have sessions like Patricia Fuoco, focus on women painters, which looks at the revolutionary role of Fontana and Elisabetta Sirani.
And what about the next generation? How do they get kids involved?
They're actually getting them to co-create. There's a brainstorming event called #La Mostra Chevere, the exhibition I would like, where 11 to 14-year-olds can pitch and design future exhibitions.
They're giving them a seat at the table.
Literally, there's a youth-led advisory board of the generation of ideas that develops its own projects alongside the main show.
That's amazing. I'm also really struck by this idea of slow fruition. What does that mean in practice?
It's the antidote to our fast-scrolling culture. They have Luminarte, which are a guide helps you spend an entire hour in deep observation with a single work of art.
An entire hour.
An entire hour, forcing a real empathetic connection.
And they're even using technology to enhance that slow experience.
Right. There's this fascinating thing called il suono silente, the silent sound. It's a synesthetic visit that uses binaural audio and electroacoustic music created by conservatory students to build a soundscape of the era while you look at the art.
So you're hearing the 17th century while you're seeing it. This all extends beyond the museum walls, I take it.
Massively. There are workshops for 11,000 students across the entire province, from preschool to high school, and real efforts to take the exhibition out to surrounding communities so that participation is regional, not just centered in the city.
So the how is really holistic. It's about academic rigor, sustainability, total accessibility, and deep community engagement. It's an intellectual and a communal event.
And it's all underpinned by the scholarship in the bilingual catalog from Alamondi, which really digs into the Villa Pinciana as this ultimate laboratory for collecting.
In the end, then, the enduring legacy of the Borghese collection, the real purpose of this exhibit, is its role as the ultimate paradigm of Baroque patronage. It set the global standard for integrating ancient art, modern art, and architecture into one powerful experience.
It proved that a collection could be a coherent cultural statement, not just a random display of wealth.
Which makes you wonder, given Scipione Borghese's, fierce, sometimes ruthless determination, including theft and sequestration, to create this theater of the beautiful, what risks should our society be willing to take today to preserve or expand our own cultural heritage? What compromises do we accept in the pursuit of beauty for the future?
That's a profound question to think about.
Something to mull over as you plan a trip to Cuneo. This AI-supported video podcast was researched, written, and produced by Simona Cochi, digital journalist and founder and producer of the Italian Way channel on YouTube, whose work focuses on the digital valorization of art, design, and fashion. Integrating methodological rigor with advanced technological tools, this review offers a critically informed perspective shaped by contemporary Italian cultural discourse.